Diana Ross, the legendary singer who rose to fame as the lead vocalist of the Supremes before launching an extraordinary solo career, has lived a life that seems like it should only be celebrated. With her extraordinary voice, timeless style, and commanding stage presence, she became one of the most influential artists in music history. Yet behind the glamour, awards, and legacy, the story of Diana Ross is also filled with struggles, heartbreaks, and personal tragedies that many fans don't always see. Now at 81, looking back at her long career and personal journey, the heartbreaking elements of her life become impossible to ignore. Ross's career began in the early 1960s when she and her friends Mary Wilson and Florence Ballard formed the Supremes. They would go on to become Motown's most successful group, rivaling even the Beatles in chart success. But behind the music there was tension. Florence Ballard, one of the original members, struggled with personal issues and eventually left the group under tragic circumstances. She later died in poverty at just 32 years old, and Ross carried the weight of that loss for the rest of her life. Fans often whispered that Ross was favored by Motown founder Berry Gordy, causing divisions within the group. And these painful memories haunted her career even during her greatest highs. As a solo artist, Diana Ross became an icon. Hits like Ain't No Mountain High Enough and Touch Me in the Morning cemented her place in music history. She also transitioned into acting, earning acclaim for her performance in Lady Sings the Blues. But success in the public eye did not mean happiness behind closed doors. Her personal relationships often made headlines for the wrong reasons. Her romance with Berry Gordy was passionate but turbulent. And although it produced her daughter Rhonda, it also left Ross heartbroken as the relationship dissolved. Later, Diana married Norwegian businessman Arne Nace Jr., and the two had children together. For a time, it seemed like Ross had finally found stability. But tragedy struck again in 2004, when Nace died in a climbing accident in South Africa. The sudden loss of the man she had once called the love of her life devastated her deeply. Even today, that grief still lingers, another shadow on an otherwise brilliant life. Ross also faced her own battles. In the 1990s and 2000s, she struggled with issues related to alcohol, even facing public incidents that embarrassed her in front of fans. Once celebrated as a queen of elegance and composure, Ross's difficulties revealed her humanity, but they also left scars on her reputation. The media was often merciless, focusing more on her stumbles than her decades of success. Now, as Diana Ross reflects on her life at 81, the tragedies seem just as large as her triumphs. She has endured the loss of friends, colleagues, and loved ones. She has faced public criticism and personal heartbreak. And though she continues to perform and inspire, it is clear that the dazzling star audiences see on stage has also walked through some of the darkest valleys imaginable. The true tragedy of Diana Ross's story is not just the hardships she endured, but the way fame often magnified her pain. The woman who brought joy and empowerment to millions has herself lived a life filled with sorrow and loss. Yet, perhaps that is what makes her so beloved. Through it all, Diana Ross remains a survivor. At 81, her resilience is inspiring, even if the tragedies she has faced are nothing short of heartbreaking.